All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and had a wonderful time at our event last week. We had a great time. We were really happy everybody came out. Um, Hope everybody enjoyed the brisket that they had. Seemed like it was a hit. And just want to thank everybody again. Happy to everybody that got to walk away with a prize. Thanks to Miss Sophia Wilson and Mr. Donnie Rudd with Legacy Mutual. Always been a great bunch of vendors for us. And I'm glad they're able to pass on some gifts. And shout out to Marta as well for your big 10% give back on your next transaction. So we're super excited for your next deal. That way you can have some pretty great savings, and just a little thank you as well. Hopefully we'll have a couple more of those coming out very shortly. Um, Excited. So a couple things that I feel like you guys, as new agents as well as seasoned agents, kind of need to know. I get some of these questions every now and then, not all the time, but I do feel like it should be a quick refresher and would be some good knowledge for you guys. Um, and one of them is, when is a seller's disclosure not needed? So first, let me back up and kind of explain what a seller's disclosure is. So a seller's disclosure is pretty much just like, I think it's 5 pages long, and it's a description of your house, right? Does it have gutters? Does it have a metal roof, a composite roof? Is it on a slab? Is it on a fountain pier and beam? Does it have AC? What kind of AC, how many units. It's really just a detailed list of everything that you know about the property. Um, and it can go as in depth as if you're in a floodplain, or as low as just, I mean, is there a crack in the wall? So really just making sure that your sellers are filling these things out as true and as best as they can, because later on down the line, if something is pretty apparent that would um, pretty easily noticeable, and they said that they didn't have it or they don't know they have it, it could bite you in the butt. So have their sellers and let them know, hey, please be honest. It could come back and bite you in the butt, if you try to hide something or minutia. It's misrepresentation. So let's just please be first and foremost. However, there are times, and it's very limited. There's not a whole lot, but majority of the time you will always require a seller's disclosure. There shouldn't be a whole lot of reasons, but here are some of those reasons that you don't need that. And it kind of gets a little blurry. Hey, they're going through this, what's going on, blah blah blah. There's a lot of scenarios, right? People get divorced, people have estates, people die, their investment properties. Is it required on an investment property? What is the case? So to kind of clarify some of those things here, I have a few. So one is in the pursuit order of a foreclosure sale, right? So if the people just couldn't pay their mortgage or taxes or whatever the case may be, and they're getting foreclosed on, they don't necessarily have to provide a seller's disclosure, because it's out of their hands that they're selling the property, right? It's they're being forced out by their note holder, and more than likely they're not going to want to give that information anyway. So the states recognize that, and they say if it's a forced sale, there's no seller's disclosure. It's a buyer beware kind of situation. And as we know, for the foreclosure market, it's typically cash only, and there's no need for a bunch of disclosures. It's literally just, hey, here's the property, you want it or not, pay cash, and then you'll find out all the nicks and crannies and problems with it after the fact. Um, Same thing for a title or trustee in a bankruptcy sale. Bankruptcy also typically constitutes a forced sale, and therefore seller's disclosures are not needed. Number three, by a fiduciary or beneficiary in the course of the administration of the descendant's estate, guardianship, conservatorship, or trust. So if the house is coming from a death and people inherited it, or another transfer and inheritance happens and that person's going to sell it, they've never lived in it, then that constitutes as not needing a seller's disclosure. And yeah, guardianship. Let's say somebody took over it, and now they've become that the the owner became transferable. You no longer need that. Number four, from one co-owner to another co-owner. So let's say I have a house and I'm going to sell a portion of it to another party. I don't have to provide them a seller's disclosure. They're buying a portional interest in it, and therefore that does not constitute as a full sale and transfer of that property. So therefore, a seller's disclosure is not necessary. If you're selling the houses between spouses that are divorcing, so let's say one spouse is buying out the other spouse, or it's just getting transferred due to the court order, they do not have to disclose for any purposes. I mean, typically they both live there anyway, so there's no need. They both kind of know what's going on with the house anyway, and that's pretty much why one person would take it over the other. Hey, this house is falling apart. I really don't want it. You have it, and just stick the other party with that issue. Number six, to any form of government entity. So if a government entity is picking up your property for any reason, you don't have to provide a seller's disclosure. Typically, if it's for a government entity or eminent domain issues, they're going to end up tearing that down anyway, because it's typically bought for infrastructure or other public resource uses governed by the city or the government. Um, Number seven, new residences that have not been previously occupied or for residential purposes. So for some of those new build clients that you have, builders do not have to provide a seller's disclosure. If it is if it has not been previously occupied, it is a brand new property. Typically, they'll in the contracts they have specifications of workmanship, but they do not have to disclose, or they do not have to provide a true seller's disclosure outlining everything, because typically it's new, right? But my urge to y'all, if you are representing clients for new builds and like new builds, make sure to get a third party inspection report. So you'll have towards the end of the project, once you go through the blue tape phase. So once ever they say, okay, you guys are going to come to the house, inspect the house, and if you guys are okay with it, then you sign off. They'll typically give you some blue tape, and then you put it on the walls to show all the little things that you want fixed. During that time, get your third party inspection from an inspector you trust. A lot of the times for new builds, those inspection reports come out even longer than pre-existing homes. You'd be surprised at how quick and how fast these projects go up. So a lot of things kind of get left behind. One case scenario was that I saw was on the roof of the house. You see the vents on the roof, but when you went into the attic, there were no holes cut through. So that attic had no ventilation, and that's going to create a lot of heat, a lot of problems, and just run up your utility bill because there's so much heat in that attic. So making sure, and then thankfully they got an inspection, they caught it, and then the builder had to go back, cut out those holes, and redo that instead of just laying them on top of the shingles. So getting a third party inspection report is really, really important, especially for your new builds. I know it's a pretty lax transaction and you don't have to do much as the agent, but the one thing that I advise you guys to do is get that, because there is no seller's disclosure. There is no kind of teeth right behind these things, because they said, oh, well, you inspected the property, you looked at it, and you signed off on it. But you yourself are not an inspector as the agent or as the homeowner or future homeowner. So get yourself a third party inspection. And then the last one, number eight, of real property. So this is more for like dilapidated houses, right? So if the property value of the dwelling, so if the dwelling's value, the house or the structure itself, is less than 5% of the property's value. So let's say um, the house is worth 95,000, but the land is worth 100,000. So since the value of the property is 5% less than the property's value itself, then you don't need a seller's disclosure, because typically that would consider it being a dilapidated dwelling or just something that needs to be torn down. Um, I also want to maybe speculate on that, because let's say you're in a farm and ranch situation and you have, maybe it's on 100 acres, and that 100 acres is probably going to be well worth more than the dwelling itself. Even though the dwelling is in a nice condition and a nice shape, that's something I will look into, because that could arise, especially here in Texas where we have a lot of land. And the value of the land is getting quite expensive. So if the land is overvaluing the dwelling itself, will that constitute them not having to provide a seller's disclosure? So that's something I will do homework on for you guys, and get y'all an answer to that one later. Second topic is flood zones. Right now, since the market is so hot, everybody is jumping the gun. Hey, we just saw the house. We want to submit an offer right then and there, so that way we can have the best chances, right? But by doing so, we put ourselves in a rush, and we want to rush, but we don't want to rush, especially when we're representing clients' big decisions. So making sure that you guys know how to find and figure out if a house is in a flood zone. So I'm gonna do a quick screen share right now. If y'all can see me, great. If I can't see y'all, that's fine. But as long as you can see me in the screen, I'm gonna do it real quick. It's super easy from your MLS, and then let's go ahead and do that. So screen share, and we'll do desktop. Oh, hold on. How do I do this? Okay. Uh-oh. Oh. Okay. Uh-oh. Not fun. Oh no. Okay, here we go. Okay, so if y'all can see my computer, I'm on the normal MLS. So I just logged on to, our MLS. So if you go into really any search, so I'm just gonna hit the search button, view the results, and it's gonna populate over 500 stuff. So if you go into any MLS listing, there's this CAN ID, this CAN number that's in the middle that shows the taxes and the property information as well as the owners. You're gonna click on that, and at the top middle right here it says CRS, which is the Central Retrieval System for our Sabor. And then you're gonna find out a lot of the property's information. So if you want to look at the very bottom, I believe it has the flood, like the the FEMA stuff. Oh, where was it? Right here. So this one, random choice. It says it's a minimal flood risk area, is minimal flood hazard, usually within the 500-year flood level. However, it doesn't give us too much of a basis, right? So to really find out the map, you're going to go to view larger map. That's in the top right map section that you'd see. And then you're going to hit this little arrow on the top left, and you want to put the layer for FEMA flood zones, and then boom. So now you have this huge outline right here showing that the house that we actually selected on the bottom said it was only in a minimal, but if you can see here that we are actually in that flood zone, which is, this is actually a perfect example, because if you take a look, this property looks like it's on two lots. However, this portion here, this would constitute you needing flood insurance, and this would constitute you being in a flood zone. This portion right here, if this is a separate dwelling, will not, as long as the insurance agencies can see that this portion is not touching the actual dwelling. The water can actually be on the property, but if it's not touching the dwelling itself, you're not needing flood insurance, or it's considered to be in the flood zone. Um, so just because the water touches or the outline touches the backyard doesn't necessarily constitute that. So first and foremost, before submitting offers, take a look at those things, guys. I would hate for somebody to get towards the end of the purchase, um, and then having that pop up on the insurance whenever your client has to go and get insurance. Then they're going to say, well, we checked and now you need flood insurance, and that's going to be an extra charge each month. So your bill and your purchasing power may have just gone down, right? Because if your purchaser is at their max already, and they're already trying to kind of struggling to get that mortgage cleared, and then their insurance statement comes out and it's showing even more money than what they had calculated, because now it's in a flood zone, that deal may be done. So please, within your haste to get these contracts out, to get people in the homes that they're wanting, make sure to do at least that. check to see if it's in a flood zone, because typically your homeowners that have been there for years, yeah, it's never flooded, but technically you are in a flood zone. So be sure to check that. If you have any other questions about that, feel free to let me know, and we can kind of revisit that, and I can show you all that again. Third thing for today, and again for you savvy as well as you novice agents, this is one thing that I get all the time. Everything in these contracts, everything about real estate is negotiable. Don't ever let somebody say, well, this is what it is, this is how it's done. Uh, this person always pays for this, that person always pays for that. Everything is negotiable. So always keep that in the back of your mind whenever you're representing your sellers or your buyers, that everything is negotiable. If you want this done, hey, let's talk to them. Let's figure it out. Let's offer them something. Let's offer them an extra $100 or whatever the case may be. I mean, everything is negotiable in these contracts. So let's try and be creative, when we need to be or when we don't need to be. But at the end of the day, everything can be agreed on or disagreed on, and it just depends on agreeing of people. All that's all it is if we can make an agreement and get to a solid place, then let's move it forward, let's get it done, and let's make everybody happy. But for somebody to say that no, you can't do that, or this person has to pay for this, that's wrong. It's just a disagreement, and you can always negotiate that. So please keep that in mind when you are in these contracts.
Um, Hello, yes, I'm here too. I like to think of the 1 to 4 contracts as a big like puzzle piece. Let's say like this term of the contract isn't working out for one of the clients, then okay, let's maybe take that term out and put another term in, or adjust a term somewhere else in the contract to get to that end goal, because everyone has the same end goal. They want to either buy their house or sell their house. So if you think of it as a puzzle piece, and like he said, just be a little bit creative with how you um, negotiate the terms, you're more likely to get to that end goal for both clients. So just a little perspective. It's not set in stone.
Very much so. And then some good news, guys, for everybody else. I was reading on some of the TARS, or I think it was Trek's website, just some market updates and what's going on. As of right now, compared to last year, we are 20% more in sales than last year, which is huge. To have a 20% market increase within the last year, is just showing how crazy and how strong our market is right now, and that home sales are skyrocketing and people are just wanting to invest more. Uh, During this pandemic, the people that could took advantage of it, and the people that couldn't before are now doing so. Interest rates are super low. I expect them to stay this low for at least another year, just because what's going on everywhere else. People need affordable housing, and the market's just looking strong for the next year. Um, with that said, though, that did with the increase in sales, that does have a huge decrease in volume. So our listings right now, I think from compared to or even first quarter, there was like 119 thousand listings across Texas, and then this quarter we're I think at 79,000. So that is a huge reduction. So guys, so what that means is with interest rates low, with inventory low, that just means house prices are going higher. And they're going to keep going higher until these interest rates go up. So, what that means to you guys is you guys need to be pushing for more buyers or listing agents, or sorry, listing appointments, because for your listings, they're going to get the most money for their house that they could in the last 20 years. But for your buyers, that also means they're having to pay more than what they've used to pay. However, their interest rates and their mortgages are going to be about the same, but purchasing power is going lower because house prices are going higher at a record pace right now. So just keep that in mind when you're talking to people. Hey, now is really the time to buy. We really don't know where we're going, and if you can lock in an interest rate under 3% right now, that is amazing sauce. Like super amazing. Um, And so that's my last little tidbit for this morning. I want to open it up to everybody else, talk about their weekend, talk about the party that we had, any problems that y'all may be having in your transactions right now, or anything else y'all have. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Phil.
I had a great weekend. I had a great time at the party. The brisket was amazing. Also enjoyed the chicken.
Thanks, man.
Let's see. I've got the MLS training this week with Sabor. And I mean, other than that, I'm really just looking forward to speaking to Donnie and Sophia this week.
Good.
I did get to talk to them a little bit at the party, and there's a lot I can learn, and they're both really excited to teach me. So that's kind of where my head's at this week. And other than that, just calling some few more people I know that I need to keep in contact with.
Awesome. And first and foremost, keep them as like your go-to, right? We don't, as agents, we don't want to cross the lines too much. We don't want to give too much financial advice. You don't want to give too much title advice, and you don't want to give any like a legal advice, right? So really stick to your realm. If these people are asking, hey, what's my monthly payment? What's this? Hey, let's really talk to that lender and let's get you the right answer. I don't want to, give you something and then you hold me to it, because it happens. We really, as agents, need to stick in this bubble in a way. And for some agents, it's a little hard because, you want to know everything and you want to give your client and show them that you do know everything. However, sometimes it's best to not know everything and say that, I just need you to talk to these people. These are the professionals. I'm the professional in this realm. These guys are these guys, and that's why they're doing what they do. So let's keep those as well. It's good to have a good base knowledge, but when you're answering finite questions, let's push that on to the lenders and the title people and the attorneys.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Cool. And then Miss Sherry, how are you? How was your weekend?
It was fine. Just getting used to tiny home living.
Yeah. Oh, have y'all started on the new office yet, or you're still kind of just getting situated and
we're clearing the property.
Oh,
We've got half of it cleared, and then we're gonna we have to excavate into the hill because it's kind of a low area for water. So got to fix that, and then we'll start with the foundation.
Good. And then how is the weeds coming along? I know you had some offers come in and
not on the weeds. I had offers on Elm Valley, but weeds went back on the market after that. I don't know what happened with the buyer. That was like a 6-month ordeal with them.
Yeah. Okay, so we haven't got anything back on that one then.
No, the weeds I really need to sell because that sale is based on the build we're doing for them.
Correct. Okay.
So that's an additional 5 acres out in Garden Ridge that, I mean, everybody's looking for that much land right now that I have come across. They want five or more.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Then that will be on my homework as well. Just keeping an eye and seeing if any of our agents has anybody. I'll shoot out some emails to try and get you some more traction over there.
Yeah, I thought we'd have more over the weekend, but we only had 2 showings, and one was an investor who was trying to. You can't subdivide, and they wanted to subdivide. You can't do that there. Yeah.
Okay. And then how was the one on Elm Valley? Did we kind of reach an agreement, or we're still?
Yeah, we're there. The inspection is today.
Good.
Well, it's under active option.
Good. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Are the clients pretty happy though?
Yeah, they're ecstatic because they have 2 mortgages. So
they'd be really happy then.
Yeah, and it was a lot more than what they thought they were going to get. So
good. That's awesome to hear.
Yep.
Okay, well then that's great. Mr. Terry, how is everything going on your end?
Good morning. Yes, I had a great time at the party. Thank you again. And my wife really enjoyed the food. She said it was great barbecue, very tasteful.
Great, Terry.
And just moving along with some customers / clients. So just proceeding along.
Good. Well, that sounds great, Terry. If you need anything, feel free to give me a call. And then also with Mr. Thomas, I haven't heard back from him in a little bit. So if you don't mind reaching out to him,
yes, sir.
That way we can kind of see where he needs us. I know he's busy, but I'd like to get him moving if we can.
Yeah, I will give him a call today. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. I think a couple of other people hopped off. I guess they didn't want to talk yet. But other than that, guys, feel free to give me a call at any time if y'all need anything. I'll let y'all go for now, and then I'll touch base with y'all a little bit later. Thanks for stopping by.